All right. What it do, dirty babies? Hello, hello, hello. Oh man. Listen. Sound like Nabi. You remember Nabi from Zelda, from Ocarina of Time? Little Nabi would always go around, listen! Speaking of listen, let me make sure I hit the record button here on my other side so I can get some proper audio later. What's up, everybody? Good evening, good evening. Today I'm going to be discussing Superman, the new movie from James Gunn. I've been seeing a lot of things online. A lot of people have been talking. A lot of people have been yapping, and I've been hearing a lot of negative stuff. And you know me, man. I don't dig on the negative stuff if I don't have to. Now, if there's something negative to be said, I am more than happy to dish out negative. I love some negative. Don't get me wrong. But me, I want to go also and make up my own mind, and that's part of the problem is that most of the time people just let other people make their decisions for them. And from the negative things that I'm seeing going around the internet, I think that there's a lot of people that could just go, "Ooh, I heard the new James Gunn Superman ain't no good," so I'm going to say no to it. What I'm going to do tonight is just give you a little spoiler-free review of the new Superman movie. Just to give you an idea of what it is going in, because frankly, I didn't know. I saw the initial teaser trailer, and I thought, okay, this looks cool. It gave me the Superman vibe that I was looking for. They were smart in giving me the John Williams music. I thought that was great. And then I watched nothing else afterwards. I didn't know anything else about the movie post that. I didn't watch any other trailers, even despite the fact that when I went to the movies many, many times, whenever the trailer would come on, I just closed my eyes. I wouldn't watch it. I'd listen to it. So like I'd heard some dialogue, but even then I couldn't much tell. And I try to like focus on what the surround sound is doing and stuff like that, just to give myself something different that's not trying to pay attention to the movie trailer that's in front of me. So I really knew very, very little about this movie, save for its basic kind of, it's a Superman show. And here are some of the characters with which are in it and stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those characters and and if they were warranted for being in this flick and everything. But before we do all that, be a dirty baby. Hit that like and subscribe button. We love you so much for this. I'm happy that anybody takes the time to check out any of the silly little dumb things that we do here. And of course, make sure you just drop something in the chat. I'm definitely reading out chats as we go here. And if you want to be the best person in the entire world, why don't you drop a super chat in there, aka Portress Bucks. You get a little sound effect like that and everything. Make you feel good for the day and get your priority read. Not to say that you're going to have a hard time, fighting in the regular comment section. Just make a comment. It's going to be read. Don't worry. But other than that, I will say this. You can see the Superman movie in a regular FOMAX kind of thing. I know that's going to be a lot of people's option. This thing was shot with some IMAX cameras and whatnot. But if you're going to see it in FOMAX, that's going to be fine, really, because you are looking at a regular 185 movie. So you are filling the full screen there at your FOMAX and whatnot. So you're not going to see big giant black bars on top and bottom like you would with a 235 or 240 movie. Pretty nice. I went to see it in a what they call a PDX theater and everything that has a laser projector and Dolby Atmos and everything. Sounded and looked really good and everything. So I would say that see it at the nicest theater that you can, because especially with a lot of the audio and stuff, you need to kind of feel it in your bones and stuff like that. And I certainly did with this one, but we'll get into that. Bronson's in the background doing what he do. Like and subscribe for more Bronson. I figure we had to have him on the stream this week, or on at least specifically this review here and everything, because old Krypto the dog is a giant factor in this new Superman movie and stuff like that. I knew Krypto was in it. Like I'd seen Krypto in the ad and whatnot in the initial teaser trailer, but I'd never really, I had no clue to what extent he would be in this movie, or Green Lantern for that matter, but we'll get into all of that. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Join us over at patreon.com/HMP. There you get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. I don't know what we're doing for Dinger Zone this week. If you guys got any ideas. Actually, we might be talking about this movie. I don't know if the boys are going to go see it, but if they do, we'll be talking about that in a Dinger Zone episode, which I think would be good, because I think that we will have some interesting things to say about that. We're going to do some of that bullcrap right now. So let me wet my whistle and we're going to get into it. Has anyone else seen this movie at this point? I don't know how many. Like, I saw so many people throw up reviews and stuff like a day early, like an early day. I'm like, did they just give out press screenings galore to this? And the funny part is now I didn't watch any of the reviews, but you could read their headlines or see the thumbnail there and everything. And a lot of those folks were disappointed. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm very curious as to what you guys might have thought about this movie as well. But I am. It's interesting. All right, let's get into it. Oh, is that right? So it's Amazon Premiere. If you had Amazon Prime, you get to watch it as early as Tuesday. I have Amazon Prime. Why aren't these buttholes sending me things? That must mean why everybody got it. That makes more sense then. Man, what a crummy break for me. I could have seen this thing earlier and been yapping about it. All right, well. Que sera, I suppose. By the way, just before we kind of get going officially here and everything, for those of you that may not have seen this as well and are at least curious as to this point, again, no spoilers, but there is a mid and post-credit sequence for those of you that like waiting around for that stuff. Is it inconsequential? Yes. Are they fun? Also, yes. The Night Bard says he's seeing it tomorrow. And I would, theater was packed for me as well. And so I think that this movie, despite whatever people might be saying about it, is going to do some business. Because any of the theaters that I looked around within the area and everything were at least like half sold out and stuff like that. So if Charlotte's pushing them like that, boy, you best believe it's going to do some money. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Like and subscribe for Bronson, everybody. All right, gang, let's get into it. I got out to the theater to check out Superman 2025 from our good old buddy James Gunn. His first outing over at DC. How's he going to fare? We'll soon find out. Let's look at the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Superman must reconcile his alien kryptonite heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, that's interesting. He also finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned. This is written and directed by one James Gunn, starring David Cornsweet. Alan Tudyk does get second billing when the credits roll there and everything, which is really wild. I think this is how the credits are actually run. But we got Bradley Cooper as Jor-El, which I thought was kind of a funny sort of thing. We'll get into all the fine folks that are in this, but listen, why oh man, this is they really screwed the pooch here. Look at this, the way this thing like plays out and whatnot. You don't even see Lois Lane until later on. Holy smokes! All right, anyways, they really screwed the pooch on that one. I guess the IMDb doesn't like their folks over there. Man. So like I said, I saw nothing going into this save for that first teaser trailer and everything. I thought that looked exactly what I wanted to see in a Superman movie. It looked like, again, we have those cornerstones that I think that you absolutely have to have in these movies. One of those of which, of course, being John Williams' score. John Williams' score is essential, I think, to this. And now, luckily, it's not, just his entire score all the time. There is I think Alexander Desplat does the score. It's really good. Like it's quite solid here and everything. But I will say this overall. Let's give a little kind of general idea of everything going in, and then we'll kind of get into more vague specifics. Like I said, we're not going to be doing any spoilers with this or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to give you my thoughts and feelings on this movie as a whole. Ultimately, I was shocked. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. I came in with a very, I don't want to say jaded. I wasn't jaded by any stretch of the imagination, but I wasn't going in thinking like, oh, I'm so stoked for this to be good. Because I don't know what you guys know, but I've seen a couple of superhero films back in the day. HMP, we did well over 500 episodes talking about superheroes and stuff. So I feel like I'm at least a little bit qualified to talk about this subject and everything, and specifically with Superman, because man, over those 10 years of HMP Volume 1, we watched everything. We watched all of them. We watched the good, we watched the bad, and everything in between. There's not a lot of in between. There's a lot of bad. Lots of bad that eventually you do have to give yourself a break and decide, hey, maybe I want to do something that's not going to make me want to jump off a ledge. So that's why we're on HMP Volume 2.0, everybody. But overall, let's talk about David Corn Sweat as Kal-El / Superman / Clark Kent and everything. I think we have made a fantastic choice. He's solid. He's a good-looking guy, built enough. He was never like, if you watch him, because I want to say he was in was it Pearl? He was in Pearl, right? I think that was the whichever one of those movies it was. He was in at least one of those. He was kind of a skinny guy in that movie and everything. Played the movie theater projectionist and whatnot. So he's bulked up and everything. But he looks great. He looks great. He looks like a nice little amalgamation of kind of all of our Supermen and stuff from the past. You got a little bit of Reeves. You got a little bit of Cavill. You got a little bit of everybody in there. It's kind of nice. At first I was not quite sure about the voice that he's got for Clark. Because the voice for Clark really starts, he gets it done. Because most guys for Clark, they're going to go in the upper range. They're going to start there and they're going to, it's a little bit up here. Whenever you heard Kevin Conroy do Batman, his Batman went deep and low, whereas his Bruce Wayne went awful high. That it seems to be the kind of thing. It's interesting to see him go the opposite route, and that be more just like almost Clark's really just dull and boring kind of guy and stuff. What I do like about the movie is that it's not an origin story. We literally kind of go through the Superman origin story, like the first 25 years of his life, like that. And it's text on screen. It's stuff that you know from Superman. It's not something that you have to see for the 58,000th time of us putting a small child into the thing, shooting him off to the deal, and all this blah, 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 blah. It tells you enough. It tells you everything that you need to know. Superman is such an iconic, figure at this point. You don't need to worry about that. Our portrayal of Lois, great. Maybe my favorite portrayal of Lois Lane yet. She's smart, but she's not the perfect gal, if you will. There's a tendency to make these characters a little bit, especially the women characters, a little bit more like you can't put them in any kind of distress or anything like that. There's a little bit of stress and stuff here. She's, she does have to not get rescued per se, but she's in a little bit more peril than you would hope. That's what's kind of nice about it. It's like, oh, it feels like, they're in here doing something different and not just like, hey, I'm a strong lady. I don't need no Superman to get me. Listen, that's part of the charm of that stuff, man. That's why you have, the Knights of the Round Table and stuff like that. You can't have, Maid Marian running things while old Lancelot sits in the corner, playing Parcheesi or something like that. It doesn't make any sense. But with those two, obviously, that's your main kind of crux right there. They play really, really well off of each other. One of the interesting things I've thought about this movie is it really, kind of shows the relationship between really Superman and Lois Lane, because she knows he is Superman, which is a nice thing, that we don't have to go around and play that game of do they know, don't they know, blah, 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 and all this kind of bull crap. That's really great. They play off super well with each other. One of the confusing things about this movie is that we play like Jimmy Olsen is hot. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm happy Jimmy Olsen is back being a white guy for a change. We didn't make the redhead character another black guy, which, listen, I don't know why that seems to be the thing that they're doing in Hollywood, but you tell me. But this guy, we play him off like he's Jeremy Allen White, because I don't think Jeremy Allen White's an attractive guy either. I think he's got big, nice blue eyes, but that's about it. All the rest of his features, he looks like a Ren and Stimpy drawing. That guy. So I think this Jimmy Olsen's kind of the same way, but everybody's got the hots for Jimmy. Jimmy's super handsome, and I'm like, is Jimmy super handsome? Because even Lois at one point just kind of goes like, what? how do you do it? And we all are looking at him going, yes, how does this guy do it? I'm sure he's a nice gentleman, but he's not the looker in this. When Corn Sweat's over there 2 seconds going, hubba, hubba, you look over at this guy and you're just like, what is this? It's like trash they left on the side of the road. It's disgusting. Let's talk about a couple of the other characters. Again, I won't talk too much about how they kind of come into play and everything. But you saw him in the trailer a little bit. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Now, I mentioned it in the podcast, again, because I hadn't seen any trailers or anything, so I didn't know the extent of how any of this was going to play out. I was fairly certain that we would have a Guy Gardner in this for like 5 minutes if we were lucky, right? Maybe a 5-minute cameo or something like that. He comes on, he says a little cutesy fun stuff. He does the kind of what we'll call normal Nathan Fillion, James Gunn superhero cameo length, which is to say not super long, right? But this one, he is in it like a madman. It is fantastic. And you know what? He's hilarious. He's so good. You love who Guy Gardner is. You love what Nathan Fillion is doing with him. If anyone has complaints about that, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's so funny. He's just and what he ends up doing with some of the Green Lantern, ring effects and stuff like that. Fantastic. Really, really good. Just super funny stuff. And then we've got Mr. Terrific, who I knew little to nothing of. I knew, I'd seen him in the comic books. I thought, wow, that's a really weird and dumb looking, we got a T on his face and everything like that. I was like, oh, I don't know how we're going to handle this. And they do it exactly like the comic. They're just like, hey, this is what he looks like, man. And you know what? He's fantastic. He's really, really good. He's super smart. He's got all of his tech stuff and everything like that. And they play his intelligence level just right. There's enough smartness. There's enough snark with him and everything. It absolutely just kind of, every bit of it rings for me. It worked so well. So Mr. Terrific was indeed terrific. Let's talk about Nicholas Hoult, man. Nicholas Hoult. Again, we mentioned it on the podcast. We did Nicholas Hoult month on HMP back a couple of months ago. So if you want to see us talk about 4 Nicholas Hoult movies, check that out. Nicholas Hoult is absolutely fantastic in this. I will go on a limb right here and now and say Nicholas Hoult is the best Lex Luthor so far. I think he is. He's so astounding here. What he's doing with a role that's not like written super huge. It's like it's just enough. But with what Nicholas Hoult is doing with it, just brings it to yet another level. And you want to know what I think he's doing in this? You want to know what I think he's doing in this movie? And if you haven't seen it, I want you to watch it. And then when you watch it, I want you to watch his performance. Tell me if you don't see Tom Cruise. Tell me you don't see Tom Cruise in that performance. Right, Bronson? Tom Cruise. He didn't go to the movie, so he doesn't know. Tom Cruise, buddy. I can't believe it myself. That's right. Dude, it was, the whole movie was surprising. We end up in like little pocket universes and like other things that just, I didn't quite see happening. The style of it and everything is James Gunn. So whether or not you like James Gunn, I think will determine your feelings on the style of this movie. If you are somebody who has come from the Snyderverse and everything and want a little bit of something like that in this is not going to be the movie for you. If you've seen James Gunn's work before and you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure about this, I don't really like the aesthetic or, the vibe that's kind of going on, you ain't going to like this. It ain't going to be any different for you. This is very much a James Gunn picture. And if you like that, I think that you'll like this. Let's see, because the action is great. The action is pretty cool. There's a lot of because obviously you can only go so far, but there's a lot of CGI and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on where you're just looking at this and you're going, what am I looking at here? But there are other times, and you can tell that they at least hooked them up to a crane and everything, blew a whole shitload of wind in their face, and, filmed them with very wide-angle lenses and stuff, which for some reason or other, people didn't seem to like when they put out the trailer and everything. I like all the wide angle lens stuff in this. Like, listen, we have a world where cinema all looks the same. This movie has a lot of some samey stuff that you've seen before, but it's got some interesting things that you may not have seen before, or certainly things that you are normally used to seeing with a director like James Gunn, or specifically James Gunn in this specific case. Let's see. Like I said, I don't want to get into any kind of spoilers or anything, but I think that I don't know what people were complaining about. People were complaining up and down about how this movie had to be good or something like that. I fail to see what they're looking at. I do find it hilarious though about how everyone's trying to make this movie into like a political hot button of some sort. It's not. It's not that. I don't like. I just don't see. If anything, the message of this movie isn't some like, because a lot of people are going like, it's an immigrant story, and like, yeah, but there's a lot of things involved. But what this movie is more than anything is a PETA advertisement. James Gunn is a very animal friendly guy. I know he that is definitely part of his DNA is his just fondness for animals and stuff like that. And if you look over the course of his films and stuff, you definitely see a trend of that. Everything from like the Rocket storyline and stuff like that to anything with dogs and follow his Instagram or anything else like that. You'll see James Gunn loves the shit out of some animals. And that is so apparent in this movie because Krypto kind of steals the show in a lot of ways. And not like, at least for my money, not in like a Cousin Oliver kind of way. For me, it was more just like I'd name another little ancillary character that would come in there, but then some of y'all would come after my neck. So I'm not gonna say that name. Scrappy Doo. But he's so much fun to have in there. And if you've got a dog like I do, which is this whoa, we can't put that on screen, bud. Put that away. They're gonna demonetize me, and I don't make that much money to begin with. Put that away. Oh my word, he's got one like nobody's business. He's happy to be on screen, everybody. My word. Drop a super like for Bronson, everybody. What the hell's that? Yeah, Krypto. Krypto's awesome. I wonder, and I don't know, but if Krypto is 100% CGI dog hair and everything, good job. Very good job, because there are moments where I'm just going, oh, this dog looks real. It feels real in some cases and stuff like that. Or at least I will put it to you this way. They've programmed it, so to speak, to be like a real dog. It is so much like my dog jumping on me, and the fact that this dog has like crazy superpowers and stuff like that as well, save for a thing towards the end, you'll see that and kind of go like, this is great. But Krypto, awesome. Krypto is awesome. And now, I can be honest with you, Krypto could be like he's that great thing that we can kind of keep, and he can kind of be that damsel in distress, if you will. That's Krypto's role in this at some point, is that Krypto kind of gets in. But he's got a lot of screen time, and it's fantastic, all of it. Anything else? I do like how one of the cool scenes, and I think I saw a poster or something for it, but I never really kind of put it all together here, with Superman kind of just sitting there, and in the background there's a big giant war and stuff going on. And that is one of the cool things, is that they kind of fake Justice League and everything. I forget what they call themselves. I'm already, it was just a couple hours ago. But they're out there, they're fighting and everything. So there's this really awesome, superhero battle with something that looks, again, like something out of a James Gunn movie. This big kind of squiddy looking kind of amoeba sort of deal just going around. There's like Green Lantern lasers and stuff flying everywhere. Stuff is going on, but it's just out of focus. In the background while this human interaction is happening between Clark and Lois. It's really, really awesome. Justice Gang, that's it. Thanks, chat. Justice, and again, Justice, the great jokes and stuff with the name of the Justice Gang and stuff like that, of like, that's a stupid name, blah blah blah, all that kind of good stuff. Really, really funny. And again, I was shocked at how much Nathan Fillion was in this, shocked at how much I enjoyed the ancillary, kind of backup characters, if you will, from the Justice Game. Loved them. So much fun. And again, that's one of those things that, like, within this James Gunn universe and stuff, which includes like the stuff that we've seen with, what do you call it there? Peacemaker. My brain just took a nap. So that's all still same universe and everything. Is that Howling Whatchamadoos what is that DC animated show? Did that ever come out? I don't know. I never saw it. Once we got off of HMP 1.0, like seeing superhero films kind of shot to the bottom of the rung for me, man. I had to take a break. But you got to come back for the big boys like your Superman, and we'll be doing Fantastic Four and stuff as well on the podcast, because we're covering Fantastic Four all this month on HMP proper. So like and subscribe, check out that. That's going to be streaming on Sunday night. I love saying that with a room full of people and everything. That makes me happy, guys. So yeah, ultimately, I would recommend you go see Superman from James Gunn. I think it's really, really great. I don't know what people are talking about when they're like, it's so much fun. It is absolutely so much fun. It's not perfect, but then again, what superhero movie is? But I will say this, it's better than a lot of the superhero movies we've been seeing lately. It's better than a lot of like Marvel's last little run here. Now I didn't see Thunderbolts. I heard good things. I think it's coming out on, if it's not out on 4K, it should be soon. So I'll probably get that at 4K and just pump that throughout the home theater and everything. So that'd be fun. But yeah, man, I would say let's break it down to a star. James Gunn's Superman 2025 gets a recommendation from me, and I'm going to go 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars for this. Don't bring your dog, but if your dog sees it, he's going to love it. So yeah, man, that is my recommendation. Check out James Gunn's Superman. It's a fun time, dude. Let's go over a little bit of chats here. See what we got. A 1.5 out of 5 from you. Please do tell. Do tell. All right, new here. I hated the movie, to be honest. Every superhero movie now just follows the Avengers formula with too many characters. All have diarrhea of the mouth, and it leads to a bad joke. I could see where that could make a solid a solid argument. I believe that. I did think, I need to get, excuse me, guys, my setup's a little wonky today. It's not today, it's every day. I did think that there was main lead actors that were decent, but Corn Sweat was really, really bad. Now, I could see in some scenes that you could say that, because there were a few things that were uneven, but I feel, and maybe this is me simping for it, I'll admit, but maybe that's a little bit of like Clark's just being Clark. I don't know. That was what I kind of thought. In my opinion, when he was yelling. Well, part of that is going to be his native language, because he's not from this here country. He ain't American, and a lot of times they have problems with the yelling and the screaming. They can't do it right. Or if you're Canadian, saying words with like ER in them. Toxic Carnage says, I still don't know how I feel about this movie. Gonna watch it again next week, but it felt to me like a filler episode of Superman of the animated series. Not bad, but not the best. Still excited for DC. And that's kind of what it felt to me. Like this wasn't, and to a degree, I think it was kind of meant not to be that in a way, to be that super big kind of thing. It needed to feel, to a degree, for a Superman film, I suppose. I don't want to tell you what happens in the movie, but as you might imagine, some destruction happens. But it's not like, I don't think it's quite Zack Snyder level destructions, but there's destruction happen, as you might imagine. So yeah, there's a lot of the same kind of stuff, but I don't think they need to go too super big at this point. I think they need to kind of continue on this, keep things a little bit small, don't go super wild and crazy. I think with some of this, even the idea of them putting into this one about pocket universes and stuff like that, if and we're not careful, we can go down a really destructive road with that one. But I would hope that at this early of a juncture, James Gunn has a little bit more head on his shoulders about that one. Integrity says, but when he was calm, it was a decent Superman, but I'd still put Reeve, Cavill, Kane, and Routh above him. You got to go Reeve. Christopher Reeve still number 1. Chat, throw me your top Superman here. So I'm going Reeve number 1. I've only seen Corn Sweat in this one, so it's a little bit tough to say. But I also have to put into a little bit of an account here, and some people might be mad at this statement, but I have to put in a little bit of I have to deduct a little bit from Cavill just on account of the writing in the Snyder movies. It's not Cavill's fault. I don't blame Cavill for that. It's an amazing Superman, spectacular Superman, if you will. Uh, yeah, I would put okay. So I'm gonna go Reed. I'll go Cavill second, and then I would put Corn Sweat, and then Ralph or Roth and Dean Cain. Even though I don't think, I mean, Dean Cain was fine. Dean Cain was, listen, man, he was Superman on television when I was a kid, It was absolutely giving Tom Cruise a Magnolia and Tropic Thunder, wasn't it? It was really, really great. And here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing, and I've been talking about this. We have to have replacements, okay? There are a lot of actors out there. You all see them. They are getting old, gang. They're getting old and decrepit, and I'm sorry, but it's tough for me to see a 60-year-old Will Ferrell going around just playing the same old antics that he's been playing since he was 30. It's starting to wear a little bit thin at this point, you know what I mean? So we need new people. We need new blood, not only in comedy, but in drama and stuff as well. Tom Cruise is an amazing actor, and I think anybody who says otherwise is a complete and utter moron. But we need somebody who's going to start filling in these positions. So, some of these great young leading actor roles and stuff like that. And we're getting a lot of pretty boys, no doubt. But we need to get a lot of good actors as well. I think that's something that's quite important that we're losing a lot of. But seeing Nicholas Hoult being a good looking guy and being a hell of an actor, gotta love that. So, and he's fantastic in this movie. And I only want to see more from Lex Luthor in the future from this. Make it so. Dr. Carnage says, I think I will like it a little more the second time that I watched it. I think it caught me off guard with how they just throw you into the universe. It did me as well, but honestly, once we were there, it I got to a very comfortable level super quick, and I was just like, oh, this is it. Here we are. Here are the people. Here's everything going in there. I transitioned to the water well, as it were. Oh, you don't know who Cousin Oliver is? So when anybody says who Cousin Oliver is, here's what that refers to. There was a show called The Brady Bunch. So you got the two families there, so 3 young boys, 3 young girls, and as the seasons of The Brady Bunch go on, the kids start growing up. And even when the littlest one starts to get older, boy, oh boy, those people start getting interested in that show. So what do? Well, they need to bring in a new cute kid for the program. So they hire Cousin Oliver. Guess what? We got Cousin Oliver coming over to the house now. He's a small, bespectacled kid with a mop haircut and everything. And he's like, maybe that's not a good impression, but it's how I felt that Cousin Oliver talked. That is kind of like the method here. Whenever they need a little cute kid or something like that, boom, they put him in there. It's basically called Cousin Olivering. The movie is fun. Going to go watch it more if I see if I really like it than I do right now. And honestly, I think I may end up liking it more upon a second view. I think I'm giving the 4 stars probably a little bit in advance, because I think if my first impressions, I would probably go 3.5, but I feel like it's going to go up to a 4 on a second viewing. So I felt comfortable giving the 4 out of 5 stars. All right, so we're going to go at it again. So Integrity 101, 1.5 out of 5 for me. Ouchers. 3 out of 5 from Toxic Carnage. All right, I can understand that. And again, you even admit it yourself that maybe you might want to go back and see it again and see if it'll change you a little. See, even maybe a 3. You're already talking yourself off the roof, man. Okay. Let's see. I love it when half-ass movie pod simps. Oh, I'll be simping, boy. Make them sexy. I'm one of the few people that loves Donner and loves Snyder. This is one just lost me. It's a clear visual downgrade. I can understand your visual downgrade sentiment. There's certainly juxtaposed styles between Snyder and James Gunn. But honestly, I think that's the route that you have to go. I don't think that you can continue to go down that same sort of, we'll call it art style and cinematic style and everything for this, when you're kind of wanting to, for better or for worse, you guys can argue, But to kind of clean the slate here and everything, it's best to kind of reformulate. And that's another thing what I found interesting in this, and something that got my eyebrow up, and I was like, I wonder, because I didn't know. I was like, is this movie going to be a 185 movie, or are we going to go scope? Are we going to go 235, 240? And it goes 185, which tells me that, again, unlike Snyder, they kind of want to go for a little smaller, more intimate feel and everything. And again, I think something that's going to end up translating between movies and television and the animation, and they all want a very cohesive thing to it. So they're going to kind of go 16:9 through all of it. And again, so I feel like that's a step away from what Snyder was doing with his super cinema scope here and everything like that. I think it's the only way that you can go at that point, is to just kind of change that stuff up, because if it's the same old, most people are going to be going, why am I here? But you're not wrong in as much as there's going to be a group of people that are always going, hey, I like the thing that I like. What are you doing? Additionally, the film is full of scenes that we've all seen in previous Superman films. It's a rehash. Listen, in some cases, frame for frame, I don't know how people can't recognize it. You're going to need to fill me in on some of those scenes. Maybe I just don't know about the previous films, too. I just don't know. I do see the appeal of the lighter, brighter Superman, but in a world that they put him in is way too silly for me and my taste. This is Schumacher 2.0 era 2.0 for me. My goodness, that's a rough one, dude. I don't know that I go so far to that. This is not levels of buffoonery and nippleage as we saw with Joel Schumacher. Let's not say things we can't take back here. I'm honestly kind of shocked that people are so accepting of this. Respectfully, did anyone forget B&R 19 is that Batman and Robin 1977 killing the franchise and begins resurrecting it by taking the character seriously? They're two different characters, though. That's the difference. Superman and Batman are two different characters. If you have Batman being silly, that's going to suck and it's not going to be good. Now, will the Batman in James Gunn's DC-verse that's not connected with whatever Matt Reeves may or may not be doing? I would imagine so. I'd imagine there's going to be some level of comedy in there. I don't think anybody's going to be getting a pie to the face. I don't think anybody's going to be dressing up in sequin outfits and, doing Nixon impressions. Did he do a Nixon impression in that movie? Yeah, that feels like that's something he'd do, right? I am not a crook. It's like, this is 1997, Jim. No one knows what you're talking about. To me, this is like canceling the Dark Knight trilogy to reboot a Schumacher trilogy. It makes no sense to me, but hey, whatever you like. Thank you for the Brady family history lesson. You're welcome, bud. The Night Bart says, Adam, I just got to say, I appreciate the balanced review of Superman. I've heard either great or garbage. And yes, that was my thought too. I'd heard some good things. You see, like, and again, I don't even look too much at them, but you just see a vague kind of like Rotten Tomatoes, fresh or whatever. You see all these things, and then you hear other people talking negative, and you've got to make it up for yourself. And this is the biggest thing that I tell everybody: stop having opinions about movies that you haven't seen. Watch the movie. You want to talk shit about a movie? I more than encourage you to do so after you've seen the film. I have purposely gone to see what I knew deep down in my soul was going to be a terrible movie. I paid money at the box office purposely to see movies that I knew were going to be bad, specifically so I could shit on them and have a grounds with which to stand on. Because I got news for you. If you hadn't seen something, you're talking a whole bunch of smack, you don't deserve to. You only can talk about it and disparage and stuff if you've seen it. And at the same time, too, you can't just praise crap you ain't seen either. So let's call us, either way here, right? It's just weird for me because I used to be a Batman Superman films like every weekend with friends and family. Now literally no one wants to go. I used to spend a fortune and no one is interested. Yeah, that is one of the things that we've kind of talked about on the podcast as well. And one of the reasons that we kind of gone into like HMP 2.0 mode and everything was after a while with all of the things that were happening, you're just like, we were just kind of worn out on superhero films. So I get it. And we really think that happened right after the last Avengers there. They were like, we wrapped up an over decade-long story. This has been fantastic. Let's all go home. And Marvel said, no, you get a second dessert. No, a third dessert. You're going to keep eating dessert until we kill you. Eat the dessert. Just eat it. And here's the thing: we ain't prisoners. We ain't got to eat it. We can say no. We can leave. We can go to Taco Bell. In my circle, I mean, I get that. I've seen it. I give it a 2 out of 5 with little as bias as possible. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be for everybody. And to me, that's the cool. But here's the thing. Now, I will say this. High Vibe Will. You saw it, didn't you? And you know what? I respect your opinion having seen it far more than I would respect someone else's opinion who hasn't seen it. Because like I said, there's a lot of people talking like this movie is super political and shit. It ain't. It ain't that movie. And you know what? I think the people that are saying that had seen the movie. Because I mean, like, you can read into it, but you can fucking read into anything if you want to. Kevin says domestic box office is going to save Superman. The international numbers isn't looking good at all. I am not aware of the international box office numbers, but I will say this. What I have seen in the regular box office and what I witnessed today at a Thursday at 4 p.m., this movie will make some money. I dislike Gunn, but I love Soup, so I'm trying to be as fair and balanced as possible. They just lost me, and apparently my friends too. But again, credit where credit's due, my man. You watch the movie, and that's something there. This movie has superficial characters, absolutely no background on the characters. Frankly, I don't think we need background on the characters. And to be honest and true, I'm kind of tired of getting background from characters. I enjoy the fact that as far as this movie goes, your background for Guy Gardner is, guess what? I'm in the Green Lantern Corps. Shut up. And we're done. That's it. Because guess what? You don't need to know anything more than that. You just need to know Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. Boom. Done. You know what a Green Lantern is, don't you? Of course you do. We all saw Ryan Reynolds' movie and got mad. We all saw that crap and got mad, man. I don't think this is a spoiler because it's not in the movie, but there's no way that Henry Cavill, there's no Henry Cavill and there's no second suit. No, that's not a spoiler. Was that a thing? Were people thinking Cavill was going to be in this thing, or somebody? Was that a thing? Oh, fuck off, Kickbot, whatever the fuck you are. It's a decent movie with a lot of holes in the movie, and yes, I watched it. Yeah. I know you did, man. I know you did because I read your words, and your words read like a man that actually watched the film, and that's why I congratulate you, my man. I do think this film is going to underperform, and I think it's going to catch a lot of fans off guard. I think it will catch some fans off guard, but I do not think it will overperform. I do not think it will overperform, but I don't think it will underperform. I think, let's play a game. Let's play a box office guessing game, if you will. Opening weekend for Superman 2025. Predictions in the chat. I'm going to say, bruh. I'm going to do it. It's going to be, I want to say it. I want to say it so bad. I got a number, but it's a big one. Yeah, we're going just domestic on this. I'm going to say I'm going to say 100. I'm going to say it's 100. I think, and it's probably going to go over 100. I do like that they didn't give us an origin. That's cool, but I still felt like a little too random of an opening. I don't know. For me, it kind of felt like, okay, I will give you a very good parallel. Blade Runner. Either one, both of them, especially the second one. The second one has just a shitload of expository kind of stuff, and I would go so far as to say they do it in a less stylistic way, where it's just red text on black background as opposed to this having white text over scenic. You can argue. They were trying to push that Cavill was in the film so Snyder fans would go, oh my word, have mercy. That sounds about right. No, I swear he's in there. Just go look. They got Henry Cavill inside. Go check it out. Just go look. He's in there. Swear to God. Man, I feel so bad for them, man. There were hundreds of videos trying to predict Cavill was in it there with a second suit. Hilarious, dude. They were allowing it to go on. Well, okay, that's a little. Okay, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, because part of me is like, oh, that's kind of cute that he's like, he does want people to go see this movie and everything, so he doesn't feel like he's got bad feelings about it and whatnot. But at the same time, too, you are kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm in it. No way in heck that reaches the Batman in box office numbers. Let's look that up. Let's go to Box Office Mojo, where we'll see the stuff. All right, give me a second. Sharing the screen, Box Office Mojo. There we go. The Batman. Okay, yeah, no, I don't think it's going to get that shit. Oh, wait, I said I didn't edit this stage. That's my fault. No, I don't think it's going to get that. I think you're correct. Because, the Batman done made $369 million domestic. I don't know. Can I be honest with you? I don't know that many superhero films are going to hit this number anymore. I don't. Let's see, what did No Way Home? Jesus Christ. No Way Home almost did $2 billion. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow, wow. Toxic thinks it's going to be 130. 130. That's a big one. I think there's a chance it could be 130. Watch a movie today, and I'm watching it again on Saturday. The movie is perfect. Is the movie perfect? Of course not. My biggest criticism of the movie is that I wanted more movie. I really enjoyed the movie. See, awesome. See, people like it. I think fans of the film are going to be caught off guard by the amount of general audience members that this film will alienate. Will it alienate them, though? I don't know. I feel like we have a large, again, we've been pumping superheroes down our throats for the past 30 years. I don't know that it's going to be a lot of people scratching their noggins going like, where's Superman from? Is it Detroit? Oh, they know he's from Krypton. They know better than all of this stuff. We've been doing this for quite some time. And again, if you just say, I'm from the Green Lantern Corps, the majority of people are going to put two and two together. And if you don't, who gives a shit? I mean, like, you're right. I think everybody's, as Stan Lee said, everyone's comic. There's a comic that's going to be everyone's first comic, right? You pick up Spider-Man 315. You don't know what the hell happened the last 314 things, so they have a little recap of, hey, here's Spider-Man, and here's all the shit. But I don't know that audiences need all of that these days. I mean, superhero films have replaced the Western in American culture. I hope they release a director's cut, maybe with the extra 30 minutes that were cut. I like director's cuts and stuff being options and things that are out there. I don't necessarily like having to put those in there because sometimes the director's cuts are crappier. But then sometimes you got the Lord of the Rings extended cut, which is the only way to watch those movies. So, can. What's up, Casino Central? Seems like the Earth may still be alive in some way. Yeah. But this, right. But if this film cannot pass Man of Steel, how is it not a huge failure? With the history of this film, it was okay to reboot something less successful, adjusted for inflation. A Man of Steel did 90 million plus. Here's the thing, though. You can talk about how much money the movie made, and it did make money. But here's the thing. Things can make money and people cannot like them at the same time. That much can be true. Snyder, for everything that, and I don't hate his films per se. But what he was looking to do was just not where DC should have been going, especially at the time. it didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Like he tried to make a lot of things cool, but the problem is that at the end of the day, with the Snyderverse, he was trying to do with DC what Marvel had been doing since the 60s, okay? And they were the ones, Marvel was always the ones that was more realistic, right? You had Spider-Man. Spider-Man had a regular job, right? Spider-Man wasn't a person from another planet or all these things. Peter Parker was just a kid. Bruce Banner was just a guy in a lab. Daredevil was just a lawyer, right? These were all things that were grounded in reality. DC was the one that was the far out space nuts for everything, right? Marvel was the home of the down, the gritty, the real kind of thing. And even your most fantastical stuff like your Fantastic Four, we're still living in New York City, right? Doing New York City stuff. They go out and do, crazy stuff, but they did stuff at home, Snyderverse was just like saying, hey, man, we're going to be the dark and edgy ones here. And I don't know that works for the types of heroes and everything that DC has. They've created some over the years, to be sure. But outside of like places like Batman, they don't really exist too awful much, or at least well enough at that particular point. Was that the one up there? I really wanted a second suit. This one looks like garbage, and it looked far too complicated for Ma Kent to make something so advanced. Listen, that's always been a contention of mine throughout any of the superhero films, is everybody is a hell of a seamstress when it comes time to put their clothes together here. And what do you know, a 17-year-old boy from Queens is going to be the best sewer you ever seen in your entire life. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, I'm going to be honest with you. But I never, post the Reeves Superman, I've never thought about Ma Kent being the one who kind of sews it and puts it together and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it needs to be that, because if we get to that point where it looks like something Ma Kent would put together, unless you're doing like a Spider-Man Homecoming where he's where he's changing his, the outfit from the OG one to the new one and stuff like that. Unless you're doing something like that, or like they did in the first Captain America, where they're like, oh, here's the old crappy thing that all of you were going to say that you want, but ultimately when you see it, you're going to realize, oh, this doesn't actually work in real life. That's why we're showing it you in this, funny little montagey sort of deal. And now we're going to show you what the real Captain America suit, and it's going to be super hella dope and everything, and it was. I think the suit for this is fine. I don't think it's perfect. I think the next iteration of this suit will probably be a little bit better. I like the trunks. I've always been a trunks for Superman kind of guy. It does flow on him weird in some odd ways. That the way the costume itself kind of bunches is a little bit odd in spots. You're not wrong there, but at least it doesn't feel like it's a rubber suit that's around him, as we've seen in so many other superhero films at this point. That's at least I'm glad that that's the case. I don't think it needs to surpass Man of Steel, because the DCEU didn't die because of Man of Steel. No, it died because of just its lack of consistency, its lack of forethought into things, as much as everybody claims. And let's be honest, and again, like I said, forethought. With DC, their entire thing of like, hey, we're just going to do weird ass stuff. We're going to go all over the place. We're going to introduce these 3 characters, and guess what? Boom! Now you got a Justice League movie. We don't know any of these characters, so like when you show a Cyborg, we don't give a shit because we don't know Cyborg. We've seen him for 5 seconds, and it's just like when he has the experiment and things go bad and stuff. Do you feel bad for Cyborg? No, because you've seen him for 2 seconds. They screwed the pooch on this and everything. DC went out, with their shoelaces tied together, tripped down the road, and luckily got a couple of dollars out of it because people love Zack Snyder for whatever reason. Again, I don't hate Zack Snyder, but some of y'all crazy. At the end of the day, truth be told, Batman versus Superman theatrical version was the movie that killed the DCEU. Yeah, I mean, like there's some shit that's like even when he goes, "Why did you say that name?" That sort of stuff. I think that may be what we're talking about a little bit. Seriously, we used to collectively spend probably $1,000 per theatrical per release seeing these films. Me, my wife, and family, because no one wants to go. I would say this. Let me. I'll tell you this integrity. What are they? Do they not want to see because they don't because they're not interested in the movies themselves? Is it the movies that they're not interested, or are they also not interested in going to the theater itself? Because that's also that may conjoin with other things. Because, for example, are they happy and ready to go out to see other films that aren't comic book superhero movies and stuff like that? Because I'll be honest with you, 2025 has been fantastic for horror films in theatrical form. So watch some of those maybe. Tom Keeper said Man of Steel hit $128 million opening weekend in 2013. It won't make that, but here's the thing. We are also in a very different place, sadly, again, as a former movie theater manager here, no one's more mad about this than I am. But people aren't going to the movies these days, and, I think sometimes there are things that, like these movies that go out and make a whole bunch of money, that people just kind of get burned on, and then they kind of stop going out to see those movies. Aquaman made $1 billion and still couldn't save the MCU. Yeah, exactly. You want to know why? Let's call it like it is. Aquaman sucked. Balls. Spilling shit over here. Gets so animated. Aquaman's got me angry. As Aquaman should get everyone angry. By the way, you guys know what they're doing with old Jason Momoa, don't you? You heard this? He finally said it out loud. Jason Momoa, when he found out that James Gunn was taking over DC, I can't remember who texted who first, but apparently he was just like, Lobo? And he's like, oh, hell yeah. So he's going to be Lobo at some point, which is what he should have been the entire time. That's what killed Aquaman, is that Jason Momoa is not Aquaman, people. I don't think your perspective is wrong either. Integrity, but maybe that's another one. But the fan scores and critic scores say otherwise. At the end of the day, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, all of the amalgamated scores and shit like that, it's like, who's doing it? Who's doing it? Who's not doing it? Who's going out and giving all raves? Who's going out and giving all poops? The aggregate is it's a little bit tough. I just say go out and talk to people. At the same time, too, though, I don't think anybody's heard of, like, the majority of people that are, like, popular, like, on the radio and stuff like that. When everybody just goes like, oh, my God, Chaperone. I promise you, go to a fucking grocery store, walk up to anybody in the grocery store and go, hum a Chaperone song for me. Sing a verse. Sing me a verse of a Chaperone song. Do it. Nobody's going to do it. Not a person's going to be able to do it. None of them. Oh, I didn't read your thing here. He said, right, it is a business. It's all about making money. It's the first time that I've ever seen so many people say it doesn't need to make money. No, it doesn't need to make as much money. That's the difference. That's the difference. Is that it's not that it doesn't need to make money. It doesn't need to make as much money. Because when you look at it, this film did not cost as much as that movie did. It didn't cost nothing. This isn't a Blumhouse picture. But this movie, didn't cost what them Snyder movies cost. Them Snyder movies cost, boy. Because they need to get on the good side of the general audience. They need to gain people's trust. Absolutely. Because the trust within the comic book movie system has been degraded. And I may go so far as to say been lost. And this movie is going to be an excellent barometer of where things are going. But I think an even more so interesting barometer for this is going to be what happens with Fantastic Four. I have no idea on that one, and I'm more excited for that one than I am for Superman. Big Fantastic Four fan. I don't know about all this, though. Yep, they need the movie for good vibes. But if it doesn't hit 700 million, I don't think there will be a DCU. Really? First of all, they've put too much money into James Gunn at this point. They need to stick with him for at least like a Marvel round, so to speak. Like your Marvel Phase 1, if you will. They need to keep him around for at least, honestly, with the stank that they made for everything, I'd say 2 cycles. I'd say you got to have 2 cycles to prove yourself. Because let's be honest here, they got to get themselves out of a rut. Not to say that Marvel don't, because Marvel got a rut to get out of as well. This isn't DC versus Marvel love, be hate, or anything else like that. These are just people that need to get it together. Let's see. Yeah, are you hoping to see it for the second weekend? The budget is reported to be $225 minimum. I don't see the studio number, or $363 million reported by Hollywood Reporter, with a return of $100 million, $130 marketing. Yeah. Your numbers are about right for what they kind of should be, and I think that this movie can make 700. I certainly think this movie can make 700 over its run. I think it has. It might have legs for international. I don't know. I don't know how well Superman normally does over there. Does Snyder do well over there? I'm sure everybody's going to say he does. Snyder does well overseas. I love the original because of the suit. Because the suit came with the ship. How did they know he gonna grow into that and be that perfect size and stuff? That don't make no sense. Then again, how did you know that that he? Yeah, exactly. I didn't even read that bit. But it makes so much more sense. What if? What if it was like what if like the Superman suit was like the Back to the Future 2 jacket? You got a little button on it, goes now sizing, and then just sinks right up to you. I think that's how you do that. Man, old Bob Zemeckis was a smart one, wasn't he? Hey, everybody, say hi to Bronson. What's up, buddy? Say I won't be on camera, everybody. And then they need to double the budget to break even, so that's $800 million. Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's about it. You're not wrong, and I think they'll make close to that. And again, I think some decent word will get out about this, and I think some people will actually kind of go like, you know what, that wasn't bad. Yeah, merchandising sales, it's not going to be as big as it used to be. Sadly, that's a thing that is, I don't want to say gone by the wayside, but it's certainly not nearly as prevalent as that stuff used to be. Kids aren't going out and buying toys. But let's be frank, at the exact same time, those toys cost $25 fucking a piece. So who's going out and buying their 8-year-old a $25 toy? Screw that shit. Toys in my day cost $6. Tops. I think it's just corny as hell. As I do. I wanted to see Superman versus Darkseid finally, not all over. Yeah, well, listen. At least it wasn't the exact same kind of Lex story that we've always seen. It is in a tiny way. Again, no spoilers there, but it's at least a little bit different than what it normally is. Yeah, you got to build up to have a dark side here and everything. And that was a problem, I think, with all the Snyder Supermans and everything. There was zero amounts of levity. There was a part in the Superman initial teaser trailer there and everything, and it's only a second in the film, where Superman is swooping in to block a little girl from having a whole bunch of metal pipes and stuff hit her. And, to me, I just, that sat there in that moment, that, for you Snyder fans, that slow-mo motion moment where he just flies in and is using his back to shield a small child and everything, I was just like, that's Superman. Unfortunately, I never felt that way with Cavill. And I love Cavill. I think Cavill is great. I think he's just, a great choice for Superman. He just unfortunately got saddled with a whole bunch of bull crap that was put together by Zack Snyder. Hate to say it, but that's how I feel, baby. Rotten Tomatoes is meaningless. I agree with that. Exactly. We all saw it. How did you did anybody get to see it early here? The budget's 200. Yeah, that's all true. That's all true. Oh wait, here we go. Here's a new one. Cinema Man says Snyder's cut in his Justice League showed that how great his underwater battles would have looked if they were amazing and could have moved. I don't know. Do you guys remember the Snyder cut? Man, it was so long. I'm going to be 110% honest with you. When that screen popped up at the beginning, when you put the Snyder cut on, and it said, "This screen has been formatted in 4:3 black and white. just as the director had initially intended. I wanted to just jump out of a building. It was the most insane thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. You're telling me that your intention for this film, when you initially went to Warner Brothers for this, second, third Superman, whatever the hell, your thought was, I want to do this in 4:3 black and white. I was like, what else are we doing? Mono? What a wanker idea that was for him. Let's do it in black and white. Ugh. They're billionaires, listen, they are, they're throwing money like crazy over here. Hollywood has, you think making a profit isn't important to the folks over at Hollywood? Have you seen Netflix? Do you know that Netflix is not a profitable venture? Do you know that most of these tech companies that you are seeing are not actual profiteering business adventures? No. Most of those guys are on a losing streak. They're only held up by duct tape and dreams. Yep, agreed. 2 to 5 turn. That's okay, everybody. Cinema Man, obviously you're a Zack Snyder. I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. I will discuss that in a minute. Great directors like Snyder. All right, now we're getting a little. I was about to come to some defense here, and now you're just busting out some rhymes like he's a great director. All right, now let's pump the brakes a little bit. All right, let me read it again. Obviously, you're spelled wrong. Zack Snyder hater. Great directors like Snyder have always have pressure. If James Gunn doesn't crack 500 million, he should be held to a standard too. He's going to be held to a standard, don't get me wrong, but at the same time too, Zack Snyder wasn't the guy that was actually helming the entire DC universe and stuff like that. It wasn't him that was kind of putting all this stuff together. At least with this one, James Gunn is not only the director of this film, he's also the architect of the entire damn thing. So I think that's ultimately why this is going to work, and why ultimately it will cohesively work better, because James Gunn, I don't want to say we're going to have one voice behind it. We're going to at least have one directing voice behind it, as far as putting it into a direction, not action cut directing, a direction of where we're going with this. James Gunn's going to be the guy that's helming the ship in that direction. It's Kevin Feige, but Feige also directs. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a smart move. And Snyder and Gunn are different types of directors. They're so very different. I can't compare their styles at all. But just so you don't think that I'm a complete Zack Snyder hater, I absolutely love his Dawn of the Dead remake, and I will go so far as to say I think it's superior to George Romero's movie. How about that? Is that a Snyder hater, that I like his movie more than George Romero's movie? Tell me that. Boo, 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 boo. I saw it on Tuesday night. I give it a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10, so we're going like that's what, a 3.5 out of 5? I'm not good at math. So if it's as good as a 5, a 1.5 out of 5. There you go. That's the math. That's how I do math. Poorly. What you doing there, big man? There ain't nothing down there. I hate that some people are so held to a different standard than others. If James Gunn isn't held to the same listen, I don't know that he's going to be held to the exact same standard again, because he's doing more things than just one. Angel said, yeah, don't go see this movie. Don't believe the critics. They're overhyping this movie. The movie sucks. Again, if you were here for the review, I don't think it sucked. I thought it was pretty decent. Again, I went in with zero expectations. I'm not a Snyder sycophant or anything. I'm somebody who has, like, again, with Hero Movie Podcast being in our 2.0 phase at this point, I have not a big stake in the superhero hype with everything like that. We just don't much care anymore. So I just want them to be good. And this one didn't suck straight balls, so I'm all right with it. Viva the Snyder Trilogy! Just saying, those movies were comic book dream fuel. In as much as if it was a fever dream, maybe. I don't know, Superman never really felt like Superman to me. Cavill looked like Superman. He moved like Superman. But the writing never felt like Superman. Black and white is much Black and white is much better for movies like Casablanca and like Night of the Living Dead. But a 20 fucking year was that? Way too old. But that old movie, like in black and white, no, there's no reason for that. That's not what he designed. He can say whatever he wants. He's a liar. The black and white version was released. It was easier for the human eye to focus on the bro. Now who's simping, bro? The color distracts from the brain. Oh my God. Let's use your logic. Why aren't movies in black and white right now? Why are practically every film that you see color? Why, when the Coen brothers decided to make The Man That Wasn't There, did they almost force them at gunpoint to try to shoot it in color so they could put it in black and white later because they knew that they weren't going to do that? That's what they said. They said, like, they so didn't want color. Like, listen, just shoot it in color and then we'll put it in black and white later. And they were like, we know that that's going to be bullshit and you're going to keep it in color. So no, we're shooting it in black and white. That's not what Snyder did for this. That's a load of hooey. And if you think that movie was made a better experience by being 4:3 in black and white, give me some of the ganja that you're on. I need some of that. We prefer the black and white. You were just brought up on the color. We were brought up on the black and white. I was watching a black and white television in 1987 while you were in your father's balls. The movie Shazam quality, it's better than Shazam, bro. Bro, it's better than, like, not Shazam 1. It is better than Shazam 2, though. It's better than Shazam 2. It's better than Black Adam. It's better. I didn't see Aquaman 2, so I can't talk on that one. Even that one passed me by. The only good thing about it is David Corn sweat. The rest is hot garbage. Superman gets his ass kicked, which the whole movie should be Superman getting his ass kicked. But here's the thing, man. You can't have Superman going through people like, a rock goes through paper. It doesn't go through paper in that scenario. But you know what I'm talking about. You can't just have him just busting through everybody. He needs to have something. I mean, that's one of the problems why the Man of Steel isn't the best of characters in the world, is because he is kind of a Johnny everything. Oh yeah, by the way, he can fly, hold his breath, shoot his breath, laser eyes. Doesn't he have some like atomic bomb power or some shit right now in the comics? Isn't that a thing? Like Superman can go nuclear to some degree or another? I'm not hating on Gunn. I just want to see him go back to Superman 4 Quest for Peace campy. It's 2025. And again, it's not that bad. Come on. It's fun. There's like... Are you guys against the humor in the movie? Is that part of it? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. I want to know if it's the humor. Yeah, Superman, Guardian of the Galaxy. And listen, that's kind of... not for nothing. I dig them Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think they were, some of the best things that Marvel was putting out. 3 out of 10, like 30%. Yeah, I can see that. Well, what about the plot? I mean, what does the plot need to be? I mean, like it's a Superman film. Like it doesn't need to be much more complicated than what it is, and it's at least it's not exactly Luthorville. I'll give James Gunn a chance for sure. And that's all I'm asking folks to do. I don't think that this is, oh my God, what is this? A Goofy movie is better than this trash? First of all, sir, how dare you? Goofy movie is a motherfucking masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. If we look into each other. Hell yeah. Old fucking Pauly Shore wheezing the juice with the straw out of the water fountain there. That's right. I did that when I was in elementary school. Thanks, Wheeze. The suit I hated, the visuals I hated, the rehash scenes, and see, here's the thing though. Everybody's like, we're rehashing stuff, but like, what new things do y'all want to see? What new shit can we throw with Superman here without going through it again? You guys are like, oh, we're throwing into the universe too much here. Well, if we go into too much further with all of this, like, do you want rehash? I don't know what we're asking for here. You're asking for more Snyder. I get that, but. Sean says he watched the new Superman and thought it was awful. There's nothing interested in anything Superman got. Listen, I don't want to, like, maybe to a degree. This is kind of like Superman year one, almost, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still, like, he's not the guy that you would suspect him to be. Like, they got to have room for these people to grow. They want them to be in several things. And you want Superman to, like, kind of grow into be, like, the leader of the Justice League, right? Wouldn't you like to see him transform from, like, a dude to a leader and then be able to lead them? I'm not sure I loved Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, and the opening of Casino Royale was in black and white and gave it a fantastic feel. Well, listen, the Sin City sequel, like, wasn't as good. You know what's funny? Is the bit that they made up for Sin City 2 that wasn't in the comics was the best thing. Wasn't that odd? The stuff that was in the comics that we kind of put in, and you're just like, oh, this is going to be good stuff. It's all right. The made-up story, that was the good part. The kaiju scene at the end was silly and terrible. Is it more silly, or, I mean, how much more terrible is it than the Man of Steel, like, snapping Zod's neck in front of a family? How is it worse than, untold billions of dollars worth of damage within a town when you can easily just fly upwards? There's some damage that happens to the town in this one, but it's nowhere near a Snyder film. As soon as it opened up the little crawl, I knew I wasn't going to like it. Well, it reminds me of The Flash. I think this is better than the Flash TV show. That's what I'm guessing you're saying is like the Flash television show. Grant Gustin and all that kind of good stuff. Okay. All right. Diabolical question incoming. Do y'all want to see Ezra Miller back as the Flash? Saying it's better than Shazam and Black Adam isn't a hard ball to follow. Listen, that's been the problem for DC, is that they haven't had a whole hell of a lot to stand up against. Again, do you want Angel? Do you want Superman just to be perfect and walk through people with zero problems? Like, for example, like, and again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but like how they kind of, entrap him towards the end there and everything, I thought was different and interesting for a Superman flick. We haven't seen, stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting. Atomic Farts. 100% agree with Atomic Farts. I'm against humor in all superhero films, not just Superman. I bet. Are you against humor in a Spider-Man film? Because if you're against humor in a Spider-Man film, you're wrong. You're wrong. Dead ass wrong. Come at me and tell me that there needs to be a humorless Spider-Man. I'd love to see you try. Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor in Quest for Peace stole a hair from Superman in a museum. That's true. And made Nuclear Man, just like Ultraman / Clone. Yeah, listen, I'm not saying that there weren't like some things that were kind of rehashed, but it's not the same. But like, it's not the same thing. And like, let's be honest. Sean, I'm gonna guess you're old as hell, like me. And how many people under the age of 40 know what the fuck you're talking about? Gonna be few. It's the worst Superman of all of them, and that's saying something. Superman Returns was boring as flip. Agree. Maybe this one has some good action. This one's got some pretty good action. It's got good enough action in it. It's a little CGI heavy and stuff like that, but it's bound to be because of the what we're kind of dealing with here and everything. It's certainly fine to me. Hey, listen, guys, you're all right. You're all right. Everybody, listen, I got more people chatting in this thing than I ever had before. I'm just happy you guys are here and yapping it up. So thank you guys for that. I didn't like all the cursing the characters did. It was Peacemaker light and not kid friendly. I was thinking about that, but I didn't find it was that much. I thought it was certainly a PG-13 kind of thing, but most of that at least wasn't coming from Superman. It was coming from like people like Guy Gardner and stuff like that. And I don't want to say what his rings were doing at one moment towards kind of one of the end fights and stuff like that. That's a little bit cheeky, but I never felt like it was that bad. All right, listen, I think we're all being pretty respectful here. Everybody's just asking each other questions and stuff. Y'all all being pretty cool. We have cool groups out here. He basically copied Matt Reeves' Batman formula, where Superman is established like the Batman. Nothing original Gunn did there. Well, what do you? Again, there are no original stories under the sun, I think is the old adage. Yeah, who was cursing in the movie? I don't like. I mean, there's like one or two little ones in there, but like nobody's dropping F-bombs in there. Superman says shit multiple times. Lois says asshole twice, and Supergirl calls Asman a bitch. That is true. But these are all also things that you can say all that on primetime television. And we can argue the merits of that. No Flash in the movie. Thank Christ, right? No Ezra Miller. Yep, there you go. See, nobody wants the Ezra Miller. Who was it? I saw something that said Ezra Miller was thinking about doing something else, and everybody was like, "Fuck no!" All right, couple more chats here. I got to go to the gym for one last time in the day here. This has been awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting and stuff. And remember, we will be doing a live stream on Sunday with our entire show with me, Bruce, and Sean. And we're going to be talking Rise of the Silver Surfer. We're covering all the Fantastic Four movies. Well, we're covering three Fantastic Four movies leading up to the brand new Fantastic Four movie. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't know. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for that. I felt like this movie, like I felt with, like I feel for that one, where it's like trepidatious at best. And I hope I'm surprised as I was with this one, because for me it's good enough. Good enough for what it was. All right, everybody, that is it for me. I want to thank you guys for hanging out here. Do me a big old giant favor if you haven't already. Be a dirty baby, like and subscribe. Do all that kind of good stuff. We really appreciate it. That kind of stuff helps this channel grow. I'm going to be honest with you. I work my balls off, and we see no viewers. We see no views throughout the channel and stuff like that. I don't like tooting my own horn. In fact, as a matter of fact, I hate myself for most reasons. But I think we put out a pretty good product here. So if you like some of the bullshit shenanigans that have gone on here, check out the other stuff that we've got on our page here. We really appreciate it. We are on Apple Podcasts, where we just do our regular podcast that we've been doing for 10 years at this point. 10 years. You think we'd be bigger, you think we'd be better, but we aren't. Even with all the simping that we did for Sylvester Stallone, 10 years straight, not a single call from the man. What an utter shame. But you guys are here, and that's what matters. You've commented, you've liked, you've subscribed, you've done all those great things. Who knows what Bronson's doing? Look at that ass. Look at that ass sitting up here. He got to go potty. Hey, what are you doing, big man? You ready to go out? You gonna go potty? Look at that face. You're like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. You gotta go, big man? All right, buddy. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll see you around. Like and subscribe.